Welcome to A Healthier, Happier You, the people working to make it happen. I'm Evan J. Chelfin from Luxhammer, where we help the brands that help you live healthier. Today, we're joined by Maureen Ryza, founder of AZYR Specs, who's revolutionizing the eyewear industry through sustainable vintage curation. With over 950 frames recycled and collaborations with names like Jenna Ortega, Maureen is proving that sustainability and luxury can coexist beautifully. Maureen, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Evan. I'm happy to be here.
Happy to have you. So, your journey from costume design to sustainable eyewear is fascinating. What sparked this transition?
From being in the costume and fashion industry, I was able to see firsthand how wasteful it can be. I moved to New York realizing I was creative. I learned that pretty late. I guess I was graduating college and I didn't quite know what I wanted to do anymore. I liked storytelling. I had this inkling to move people, and I didn't know what that meant for me. So I moved to New York and I got into styling and fashion, and costume was really where I saw this world open up where you're narrating by dressing someone. And sometimes there's low budgets, so you go to the cheap stores. And you just I really saw fast fashion, how wasteful it can be, how things aren't built to last, the poor working conditions. And it never sat right with me that I was in this industry. When I was working on a film set based in 1975, I saw the power that eyewear had. So everything was true vintage. We had to match the decade. So I was immersed day in to day out in the year 1975. And all of the glasses that these characters would wear, for the most part, were prescription. So no one could actually see out of them. And I had this idea to change a pair for myself. And I started looking online and realized that there's hundreds of thousands of glasses out there. They're all in really good condition. So I changed the lenses. I had called a bunch of opticians to see who would do this. And what started as a personal pair then turned into three test products. And then I put them online on a luxury resale website and they sold. And I realized that I could really make something out of this.
That's amazing. And so, what's the story behind the name AZYR Specs?
So Azir is my last name backwards. I used to sew a lot more and I would always upcycle. So I used to take these gloves and I'd sew them together here and make a dress or a gown or a backless top. And I never wanted to sell them. So they were kind of more like art pieces. And I had to move away from that as a career. The eyewear, Azir, is basically still my taste and my curation, my spin on things, but not my original design.
That's great. And so, you've recycled a pretty large number of frames at this point. What's your process for sourcing and selecting pieces?
So I started with eBay. The worldwide internet is fascinating. And I started working with people pretty consistently. And it got to the point where either I or them would eventually reach out and say, "Hey, I notice you're ordering a lot. We have more than this. Do you want to see what we have? Do you want to buy everything?" And I ended up meeting someone in the suburbs of Chicago who him and his brother just discovered that there was glasses in all the Goodwills in the Midwest area. So they would take them all. And he had this gigantic collection and it was purely a hobby and he wanted to get rid of them. So I'm originally from Chicago. So when I went back home, we met and he brought containers like this big, four of them filled with glasses to my sister's house. And so that's just one example. But I work pretty frequently with collectors in Brooklyn, London, and Greece. And my collector in Brooklyn, we now have a relationship where I can go there and dig through the boxes because there's much more than what's listed. The thing about vintage eyewear is they're all, for the most part, one of one. So it's a very tedious process, photographing and listing. And think that's part of the reason that it's not why no one has taken it and made it a gigantic brand yet because of the tedious process. But on the other side, I have met a few family owned businesses who used to distribute these brands back in the 80s, and they have warehouses full of vintage glasses that are complete dead stock. So they've never been worn. They're just a style that got outdated, moved off the shelf, put into this room. And so there you have more than one of the same frame.
Well, that's great. That must be a treasure trove for you.
My goodness, it's so fascinating. I spent 6 hours there and I feel like I only just scratched the surface.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So, what would you say has been your most exciting find besides that one or restoration product?
There's a few. I would say my most exciting find, a discovery in terms of designer has been this guy. This is Luigi Colani designs. So he was an engineer by trade. He designed BMW and Fiat in the 80s. And then for 9 months, he designed eyewear. And he used Jean Paul Gaultier's manufacturer. There's only X amount of these glasses that exist in the world. And they all kind of mimic this futuristic car design that he did with his creations. And
Yeah, go ahead.
it's truly a work of art.
It really is. For the listeners who can't see it, it's super cool. You'll have to check it out on the YouTube. It's a beautiful design.
Yeah, he uses gold in a way where they have these deep swoops on the side. And I discovered him because my collector in London had this pair of glasses that I liked the design of them. They were lime green, very athletic looking wraparound glasses, but the arms on the glasses, rather than folding in like a normal pair, they swooped in. And they had these fascinating engineering to them. And that's how I learned about him. And that's just one example. A lot of people were creating eyewear that are not around anymore. At least the brands aren't around anymore. And there's so many stories to them. Sophia Loren, the actress, she has a whole eyewear line from the 90s.
That's so cool.
But I would say on the other side, I did a partnership with Dremel, the power tools company, and that has been my most rewarding and exciting kind of collaboration because I pitched to them, I care about sustainability and upcycling these glasses, and how cool would it be if when I go to these countries digging through flea markets sometimes to take those glasses, and we called it Franken Specs, to combine them using their tools. So we did themed pair of glasses for each country. So Spain, Morocco, and that was really fun.
Oh, that's amazing. So, who's your ideal client? What are they looking for in eyewear?
My ideal client is someone who sees as more than an accessory, a statement piece. I really do consider it jewelry for your face. You can put a pair of glasses on and it entirely transforms what you're wearing, how you feel, can make you feel very confident. It can put on this disguise where you're walking outside, you don't want anyone to talk to you. You have these giant glasses on, you can't be bothered. And I think really for people that need prescription, there's not that many options out there that are easily accessible where you can really hone in on your personality and differentiate yourself from the mass audience. I would say while most of my clients are interested in vintage, it's sometimes people who just want something unique, who appreciate good quality, and the history is really a big selling point. But it's everyone from artists to people in finance to a regular, bus driver. It's just people who wear glasses, but not only prescription, because I myself do not wear prescription glasses. So it's just people who want a unique way to express themselves.
It's really cool. So I'm curious, how has recent celebrity attention affected your brand?
It's definitely gotten the attention of more stylists, which has been fabulous because me coming from a styling background, I know how important tiny accessories are to really accentuate a look or a story you're trying to tell. And yeah, I've had fans reach out. I put the glasses online and they sold within a couple minutes. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what kind of opportunities it does open up in terms of maybe custom sourcing. I work with collectors all over the world, and I feel really confident that I can find most things that people are looking for. So I hope that it brings in more collaborations and more experiments or creative ideas that I will get to be a part of.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you talked a little bit about it before, but what do you think has been the biggest challenge in scaling a sustainable luxury business like yours?
It is a lot of work. I think one of the biggest problems that I run into is just inventory tracking. If you lose track for a second, then it's just really hard to get caught up again because I'm constantly moving so many glasses. And the scaling part was that they're all one of one. Now I just went to the tiniest part of Europe and met this family, and I have reason to believe that this exists all over the world. So I think every problem that I'm faced with kind of just makes me pivot a little bit. I've also been doing a lot of pop-ups. That's how I've done most, I would say 75% of the sales. That's how I've gotten my research and development. I can see what frames no one's looking at and what goes immediately. And so,
Yeah,
yeah, so that has been helpful. I think that that has prepared me to go all in on those select styles and brands maybe and move to a more e-commerce base, which is what I'd like to do, where I'd like the brand to go moving forward.
yeah, definitely. So, what are some of the lessons you learned from the pop-ups? I mean, that must be a great way to learn about your customers.
Definitely. Personalization is key. I think that most people don't know what looks good on them. There's a science to glasses. So each face shape has something that complements it best. And you're basically supposed to contrast your features. So a really round face would look best with something that has sharp edges, like a square frame or a wayfarer, and it goes for every face shape. The thing is that no one has made this guide sound nice, I guess is the right way to say it. It's like your face is trapezoidal. You have a square face, and no one wants to hear that really. So what I do at pop-ups is I'm able to walk people through the process and give them multiple frames to try on and show them how you can look good in glasses. So many people say, "Oh, I just don't have the face for glasses." And it's just about not having the right frame that fits you. So that's one thing I learned that I think about every day, how to integrate that online and walk people through that process still. I've learned there's also color theory, which is another thing that people don't know a lot about, where I started doing this by putting colored lenses in glasses, like these ones. For those who can't see, I love to look through yellow lenses, and it has a calming effect. It works as a blue light filter, and pink lenses are actually very euphoric. So the saying through rose colored lenses is actually true. And being able to show people that and let them look through and kind of shifts their perspective is a big one. I think just the education is really what gets people from, oh, I'm buying a pair of sunglasses. This is a brand. This is something I want to be a part of and I want to know more.
Yeah, and how do you educate people outside of just, the pop-up setting? Do you have ways of doing that?
I have a newsletter. Do I have my subscribers? So these are my customers really, but I will keep them updated on little bits of history, social media. TikTok is something I haven't utilized properly yet. But TikTok and yeah, as of now, it's just newsletter, social media. I do want to start something called AZYR Specs Club, where I take the people that have bought glasses and have some type of community where maybe it's film screenings and we talk about the glasses after, or a workshop on the evolution of materials. But yeah, I want to harness the community because it really is more than I could have imagined. It's just a vast world out there. And I think as I go deeper into it and I connect with more people, I want to share with people because I'm also meeting these designers who started these companies 50 years ago and they don't have them anymore, but they still have all the stories and they still have all the frames and a wealth of knowledge and stories to share.
Yeah, that's truly incredible. And you get a huge wealth of knowledge from those designers. I'm really curious, about the prescription lens side of the business. Do you also deal with prescriptions as well?
I do. So I work with an optician in New York, and I recently started working at an eyewear store. So I do that 2 days a week, and there I'm taking people's prescription. I'm writing out the order. So I'm actually learning. I'm being trained under an optician. So that's
Oh,
been
that's great.
great. Yeah, it has changed everything because in the beginning, I was taking the prescription and passing on the information to my optician, but now I can look at the prescription, talk with the person about it. If their prescription's too high, I'll guide them towards a different frame. So it's really just made me feel more confident, the transactions. I am starting to work with a company where they integrate onto my website that people can order frames and pick the lens they want, and then it goes directly to them. And they use Zeiss lenses, and it's a very seamless process. They work with Oakley and big brands, and then they will get mailed to the customer. So we kind of
Yeah,
cut out the middleman being me of bringing these frames to the optician, sending them back. And I think that will also help with the whole moving into
that's fantastic. So, what would you say, just looking at the bigger picture, what makes it difficult to stand out in the luxury eyewear space?
I think that portraying vintage as luxury could be difficult because, but people definitely do it. But I think that some people would look at vintage and say it's used, it's old, it's not luxury. But then you can look at archival Versace gowns that get worn for the Met Gala that live in museums most of the time. So I think it's just figuring out how to properly communicate that. And it goes back to storytelling. Like these glasses have decades of history to them, and some of them have past lives. And for example, Picasso's daughter, I wonder if I do have. Paloma Picasso. She started her own eyewear brand, and these come from that factory that used to distribute them. So there's a bunch of never worn glasses, and I think just communicating the artistry. And it's not a frame that's just an aviator that you can find anywhere else. They're truly a piece of history.
Yeah, that's very true. So, what are your expansion plans for this year?
I am hoping to make some good partnerships where the glasses are available on different platforms rather than just my website. I will be doing a few pop-ups. I'm doing a pop-up with this jewelry store in New York in July. It's called Susan Alexandra. And I think that these are the steps I need to take to start getting myself in front of more people, but also partnering with bigger stores or luxury brands that do care about sustainability, because at this point in time, it's such a buzzword, but it really is. It's so important. And what I would hope is that people see what I'm doing and it just changes the entire scope of eyewear. There's no reason to continue to create more collections of glasses every season the way we do with fashion, with clothing, because there's more than anyone I think can fathom, just sitting, waiting to be used. And so my expansion is I'm hoping to continue to make the connection like I did in Europe with this family and do it around the world and really start to get more people involved, because it's getting to be more than I can, properly manage. And I think the sky's the limit. I really, really think that it's a unique product. There's something for everyone. People need glasses. The lenses are really the big thing, and that's totally doable. Polarized lenses, we can make the glasses as nice as the person wants. It's about having a frame that's built to last, which exists.
Absolutely. And how talked a little bit about it before, but I'm curious how social media has influenced your business growth.
Social media has been great in a few ways. One specific way that I love it is, so my Instagram account is a glasses account, and I have connected with people all over the world who do who also collect vintage eyewear, and there's not a lot. And one specifically was someone in Lisbon, and I went and met him and saw his showroom. And he starts telling me, this is the person in Paris, this is the guy in Amsterdam, this is the person in Copenhagen. There's one of us in every country. And then I reach out to those people, and sure enough, it's this community where we all have the same goal, which is just to get the best vintage eyewear in the world and bring it to the public. And through someone in Amsterdam, I was able to get a bunch of lenses and bring them back. And it's really incredible to connect with people around the world that way. And on the flip side, it's also really helped me just connect with people who share the same vision and want good glasses.
What trends are you seeing in sustainable luxury?
I'm starting to see a lot of bio-based materials, although I haven't done too much research into what that exactly means, but I've seen a few brands, eyewear brands, make bio-based materials. So I I don't know. I have reason to believe that it goes hand in hand with like a made in Switzerland watch, where a certain amount of it is bio based and you get to call it that. But I'm seeing people make an effort, which I think is a first step, and it's really great. I'm seeing lots of people are trying to upcycle in terms of clothing. People are figuring out how to make products that can be biodegradable. I'm experimenting with that as well. When I get all the vintage eyewear in the world, I have been experimenting with bioengineered plastics. making frames with them so that these frames become biodegradable. But that's a whole different project. But yeah, I'm seeing people trying and talk about it. And what's really cool, a few people have done this. They'll make glasses out of fish nets. There's a few German brands that do that. And seaweed is another one. So people are getting creative, but there's still these glasses that already exist.
Absolutely. So what's next for AZYR Specs?
I think in the near future, I'm going to have to open a showroom. I need a physical location. But I'm based in New York now. I don't want to be tied to New York forever. So I think New York is a good starting base. I really want to see what's happening in Japan. I think my market is so global, and I think that New York is a good starting base. I've learned a lot. There's definitely tastemakers here. I think there's other parts of the world where it could do really well. So we start with the showroom. I want to get the website to a point where people can go get a face recommendation, all these frames recommended to them. They can order the lenses. It becomes a very seamless process. And then hopefully I'm partnering with different people around the world who have access to hundreds of thousands of these really nice designer vintage glasses. And we start eradicating the waste that doesn't have to be waste, you know?
Yeah, definitely. So what would you say is going to be crucial to get right in the next year?
Probably finding some business partner, finding a business partner, solidifying these connections. It's going in a really great trajectory. The growth is happening very quickly. Finding people with a good business mindset that I can talk with and lock in with and trust and continue to build the right trajectory.
Absolutely. So looking at it a different way, what would make this year a successful year for AZYR Specs?
I would be happy. AZYR Specs this year had two big brand partnerships. And wow, it's May. There's so much that can happen the rest of the year. I really hope to add Japan to my 2025 goals. I would really love to make a connection in Japan like I have in Europe with a family owned business or even an old optic warehouse, whatever it may be. I want to find the people that have all the old frames, a person that has all the old frames, and be able to offer that too. And website optimization.
Yeah.
Down the line, I think having this as an app would be a really, really incredible thing too.
Yeah, that would be really incredible.
Yeah.
I love that.
I'm an avid user of Rent the Runway,
Yep.
and I've used it for years. I used it when I moved to New York and then for styling jobs, and it's just so simple. And I think that my goal with this is to make it simple for people. You don't have to think about it too much. I don't want to be a place where there's brick and mortars like 20 in one city, but I do want it to be able to just, you don't have to think about it too much. And you feel great in them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love those goals, and I hope that 12 months from now we'll be talking about them and celebrating them. Well, very cool. Well, that's it for today's episode of A Healthier, Happier You, the people working to make it happen. A huge thank you to Maureen Ryza for sharing her insights and the amazing work that AZYR Specs is doing to help people live healthier, happier lives in a more sustainable way. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could benefit. And if your brand or business making an impact in health, wellness, or personal care, we'd love to help you grow. Connect with me at luxhammer.com. Thanks for listening. Until next time, stay healthy, stay happy, and keep making a difference.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great. And if anyone wants to check out AZYR, we have an Instagram and website, and it's AZYR_specs. And our website is AZYRSpecs.com. Thank you.
Definitely check them out. All right. Thank you so much.